In a small coastal town where the wind sang lullabies and the waves whispered secrets, lived a girl named Meera. She was the daughter of a fisherman. Her father cast nets before dawn and returned home smelling of salt and sweat. Her mother had passed away when Meera was just 5, leaving behind a single silver hairpin and a lullaby that Meera could barely remember. They lived in a weathered wooden shack near the rocky shore with a leaky roof and a heart full of dreams. But Meera wasn't like the other children in the village. While most girls her age prepared to follow their mothers into lives of cooking, cleaning, and eventually marriage, Meera would sneak into the back of the old library in town, one that hadn't received new books in years, and read everything she could find. Her dream was not to marry or tend to a home. She wanted to build boats, sleek, beautiful ships that could cut through the waves like a knife through silk. She had once seen a blueprint in an old encyclopedia and had been enchanted ever since. But the people in her village laughed at her. Boat building is a man's job. A girl belongs in the kitchen. Who's ever heard of a female shipwright? Still, Meera would sketch plans in the dirt behind her home. She carved miniature boats from driftwood, studying how they floated, how they tipped. She would stare at the fishermen's vessels with gleaming eyes, counting the way the planks curved and joined. Her father, exhausted and bitter from years at sea, didn't understand. "You think dreams feed your belly?" he would grunt. But Meera didn't answer. She just kept sketching. One monsoon season, disaster struck. A brutal storm battered the coast for 3 days straight. The ocean, furious and unforgiving, swallowed boats whole. Meera's father lost his vessel, and nearly his life. The family's only source of income vanished in the blink of a lightning strike. They were left with nothing but debts and broken wood. It was then that Meera made her boldest decision yet. She would rebuild the boat herself, using the damaged remains, old books, and rusty tools from the shipyard scrap heap. She worked every night under candlelight. Her hands blistered, her back ached, and sometimes she wept alone when the wind howled through the cracks of their broken home. The villagers scoffed. "She's lost her mind. No man will marry her now. She's just a girl playing with fire." But one night, as she sanded the hull by lantern glow, an old man appeared. He had once been a master shipbuilder, now too frail to work. He had been watching Meera quietly for weeks. "You remind me of me," he said, surprising her, fighting wind and tide for something that's never been done before. He offered to help, not out of pity, but because he saw in her the same fire that once burned in him. Together they rebuilt the boat. It took months. They scavenged, measured, argued, and rebuilt mistakes. Meera learned more in those months than she had in all the years of schooling she'd missed. And finally, one misty morning, they launched the boat. The villagers came out in curiosity. They expected it to sink, to tilt, to collapse, but it floated. Not just floated, it danced. Meera's boat cut across the water like a swan in flight. It was perfect. That single moment changed everything. The village elders, once dismissive, began to consult her. Parents whispered her name with a strange mixture of awe and apology. Her father, eyes filled with something like pride, rested his calloused hand on her shoulder and said the words she had never heard from him. "I was wrong." Word of Meera's design traveled fast. A man from the city arrived, a businessman with salt and pepper hair and a notebook full of opportunities. He offered her a scholarship to a marine engineering school. Full tuition, all expenses. She hesitated only for a heartbeat. On the morning she left, the entire village lined up along the shore to bid her farewell. The same people who once mocked her now called her Daughter of the Sea. The old man, the mentor, gave her the silver hairpin her mother had once worn. "Your mother would be proud," he whispered. Years passed. Meera not only completed her education, she graduated at the top of her class. She designed ships for coast guards, rescue teams, and fishermen like her father. Eventually she returned to her village, not just as a designer but as a teacher. She opened a boat-building school by the sea. Girls, once told to stay in the kitchen, now held hammers and compasses. The wind that had once tried to blow out Meera's candle now carried her name across the waves. And when the sun dipped low and the sea shimmered gold, Meera would sit by the same rocky shore, sketching the next idea with salt in her hair and a dream in her heart. Moral of the story: even when the world tells you you can't, your heart knows you can. Dreams don't care about your gender, your background, or how small your village is. They only care how far you're willing to go, how hard you're willing to fight, and how bravely you're willing to believe. Like Meera, you are the builder of your destiny. Even in the fiercest storm, a single candle, if protected, can light the way forward.